Today we're going to work with Algebra Tiles, and in particular, Algebra Tiles Online. And yeah, these things right here are in fact Algebra Tiles, and you're going to learn how to use them, how to set up expressions, and how to solve equations using the Algebra Tiles. Here's our objective here in Algebra 1. We want to solve linear equations and inequalities in one variable, including equations with coefficients represented by letters, and those letters, of course, are called variables, and then develop some strategies to create and solve linear equations and use algebra tiles to create and solve those linear equations. So you're already watching the video on the website. What I'm going to ask you to do, if you're already in full screen, to go back to the regular view, and I need you to find Algebra Tiles Activity and click on it. This opens up an entirely new window for you to work with. And if you could real quick, though, go back to the video screen. So click out of the tab. I just wanted you to open that up. It does open up a new window for you. So come on back to the video. This is where the screen will begin, and I'll turn you loose to work through that in a minute, but I wanted to show you some of the functionality of how this works. This is the introductory screen, and then you press the play button to move forward through it. And where I want you to start at is Introduction to Algebra Tiles. If you already know how to use the algebra tiles, then maybe you can move ahead to solving equations with algebra tiles. But I think it would make sense to start off here because this particular applet, the way it works, is a little bit different than maybe some of the other ones that you worked with before. Here's the basic idea. What you end up with is you have several different sizes and shapes of things that will represent stuff in your equations. And what we need to know is, how do we set those things up? I'm going to press this button again, move myself forward, and I'm onto the applet here. Now, this one here starts off with something really easy. Use the tiles to model the expression below 3x. Well, just 3. Now, I'm not going to do that just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what these things are going to look like here. So I'm going to drag over x squared. Now, I'm not supposed to do x squared. I'm supposed to do 3, but I'm doing x squared. I drop x squared, and there, well, look what comes down here on this line. I have x squared. I'm going to put a second x squared on there. Now I have 2 of them. There are 2 x squareds on there. If I drag a negative x squared, it puts 2x squared minus x squared on there for me. So it makes it kind of easy for me to figure out what's going on. It does the combining for me and makes it a little bit easier to work all the way around. Now, if I want to get rid of these because they are mistakes, I don't want those on there, I'm going to just drag them over to the trash can, and bang, that's all taken care of. So I want to model the expression 3. Okay, real easy. 1, 2, 3. Success. So that one's pretty easy. You need to play around with that just a little bit until you get it down. What this is suggesting that you do, and what I want you to do here, is I want you to keep on working with these. I want you to go through each successive level. So you go to a medium one there, and then you go to some hard ones here, and then eventually, here's how you kind of test out of it. Go down to random, and if you can do 5 of them in a row correctly on random, it's going to give you all different levels of success and so forth. If you can do 5 in a row on that, then it's time for you then to move on. So you figure out what you need to do along the way on your own. Now, what I do want to take a second to look at is eventually you're going to get to equations. And here's something that I need you to know how to do, and I'll show you exactly how this particular applet does it for you. Now, this isn't even an equation yet, but I can do it through the expression setup here. A lot of times what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to zero some things out. So if I have, say, x out here, and I want to make it back to 0, I put a negative x near it. Now, how do I make it go away? Here's what I do. I drag them on top of each other, and poof, they disappear. Now, that will be something that you're going to have to remember for when you're solving the equations in the next few steps. This is kind of down the road a few minutes from now, but that's how you do it. So if I have 1 out here and I have a negative 1, what I do is I put them together, because in the end, what you only want is, you don't want a combination of negative and positives out there at all. You want them to sum out, and that's how you do it. You drag them on top of each other. So let's just suppose that I have, I don't know, let's put 2x squared and a couple of x's out there, and then maybe a negative x, and then let's put this out there. Now if I want to clean this up so it looks kind of nice, I can press the sort button, and that will sort it all out for me like that and put them right next to each other. So now I can really, really easily see what I need to have happen. And what I need to have happen is I need to get rid of either the negatives or the positive. It's okay to have negatives, but I can only have either the negatives or the positives. So what I do is I either drag the x squared onto the negative x squared or the negative x squared onto the x. It doesn't make any difference. And there it goes. That disappears. Now I've got negative x and positive x. Drag it like that. I've got a negative 1 and a positive 1. And so the answer to, if I combine all those things together, is this represents x squared plus x plus 1. So this is going to move you through different things. You're going to start off with modeling expressions, and then you will then move on to simplifying expressions, and then from there it moves on to adding and subtracting polynomials, where you'll have stuff on this side and then stuff on this side. If you've got any questions, please make sure you're asking as you're going through, and what am I supposed to do and how am I supposed to do it? And a lot of the things that we talked about here kind of start things on. And then eventually you're going to get over here to where you're going to start solving equations with the algebra tiles. When you're ready to go on that, go right on to that. But please remember, I need you to have mastered the material as you've gone along. So I need 5. I said 5 in the random mode in a row of each one. If you get 4 in a row and then miss one, that's okay. You got to go back. You got to do 5 in a row to get it taken care of.